Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my No Man's Sky video. This is Shalom Magi, and today I want to talk about adjacency bonuses, so stick around. Okay, so this video is basically geared for more of the newer player, right? Because if you don't know what adjacency bonuses are and how to use them, then, you know, hopefully you'll learn a lot from this. If you know what adjacency bonuses are and how to use them, then, you know what you know. But before I even get into what they are and how they work and, how to, I guess you could say, maximize them, I kind of want to talk about why I decided to make this video on this topic. So I have another character, a low-level character, my alt, and I've been running him through a YouTube series, I call Fresh Start. So starting a character from zero and, pretty much documenting my journey. And I finally got to a point on him where I think it was one episode ago, maybe two, where I finally was able to start doing the autophage quest line, right? So I can unlock the purple galaxies and all that. And after doing enough things for them, first I was able to build the very basic sort of beginner autophage staff, and then did a few things here and there, and eventually I was able to start doing missions for them. So I started doing a lot of missions for them, and obviously, you get void motes for doing that. And I decided, I was like, I want to make a really cool looking staff, and I'm going to upgrade it to S class, like once I make it, because I had a bunch of runaway mold. I've got two runaway mold farms on that character. And kind of like every episode, I'll go and just burn up the runaway mold and just throw it in the storage and forget about it. And I had more than enough to turn that staff that I got on my other character into an S class immediately. And after I seen what it looked like, I was like, whoa, I need to make one of those on my main guy. Now I have a lot of different multi-tools on this guy, but I never had made I call this the radiant version of an autophage staff, right? Because every part on it, the barrel or the pole, the chamber and the head, they're all radiant parts, right? The radiant chamber. I think the pole is called the radiant barrel, don't quote me on that. But it's all radiant pieces, and I think this is my favorite style of autophage staff that's out there. Now, I also have a similar staff to that, and that is this, right? So this has the radiant headpiece, but the chamber is different, and I like it. I like the chamber. The pole piece, it's not bad, but I'm not crazy about it, right? And I love the color. This is the same color that my alt character got or I chose to get with the staff that he got. And I visited a bunch of different camps on that guy until I got the color combo I wanted. And the color combo was, so basically the gems are this color orange, the chamber, and the claw at the bottom is this color orange. And then like the barrel or the pole piece is kind of like a galvanized metal look, right? It's kind of a dull silver or gray with some blue highlights that's pretty similar to the trim that this guy has right now, like a light blue. So yeah, that was what inspired me to make this, and also what inspired me to make it is, so let me show you the staff real quick. So here it is right here. So the handle is sort of similar to what he got, except the handle on this is mostly light blue with some galvanized metal highlights, but the gems, the glowy things are that orange, and I really, really dig that. So one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is I am going to take this to the space station, and I'm going to upgrade it to an S class, right? And as you can see here, I've got a lot of work ahead of me, right? And obviously I'm going to be, min-maxing like crazy to get this thing where I want it. Okay, and I figured, yeah, I'll take everyone along with me, at least newer players who may not be too aware or aware at all of what adjacency bonuses are. All right, so stick around for the next part. Okay, so I want to talk about what adjacency bonuses apply to and what they do not apply to. All right, now I'm not going to say this is 100% guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure. So adjacency bonuses do not really apply to your exosuit, okay? Adjacency bonuses do not apply to any of your exocraft units, as far as I know. Right now, I could be wrong on this, but as far as I know, and I'll get to my reasoning behind that. Now, what adjacency bonuses do apply to, however, they do apply to your multi-tools, your weapons. They apply to your freighters, all right? And they also apply to your starships, right? And along with starships, they also apply to your corvettes, right? So they do apply to your starships, your multi-tool, and your freighters. As far as I know, they do not apply to your exosuit, and they do not apply to any of your exocrafts. Okay, I'm back. So a quick and easy way to think about adjacency bonuses, I can just show you in a visual format. So you can see I've got all my pulse splitter modules right here for my starship. Okay. Next to those, I've got my hyperdrive units. They're all pretty much close to each other. My shields, and then over here is all my weapons, right? And they are adjacent to each other, right? And that has a lot to do with the damage. Well, not just damage, it has a lot to do with all these different stats, right? Now, as far as starships go, this is a newer ship that I built. I would definitely like to improve a little bit of the hyperdrive range and a little bit of the shield. Like, if I could get the shields up to about 300, I'm good with that. I mean, in all honesty, I'm good with shields at 290. It really doesn't matter. So when it comes to starships, what really matters to me, obviously, is damage is the most important to me, but really, really close underneath that is maneuverability. And maneuverability is, you get that from your pulse engine modules. So there's a way to, I guess you could say, min-max or optimize your builds, right? So if I was to just give you a really quick, easy version of that, I'll go to my multi-tool. So I've got a pulse splitter, right, installed, and this is my favorite sort of main damage weapon, okay? And you can see my damage right now with that is 2,830, right? Now, if I add a upgrade module to that, okay, I'll just stick it right here. You can see my damage goes up to 3,195, right? So that's pretty significant. It goes from 2,800 to 3,100. Really, really 3,200, right? However, if I put this right next to, see what happens? It goes up another 500 points. Right now, if I move it around, okay, I lose damage, goes up the same amount underneath. What about here? Goes down. Right here goes up, right? So it's adjacent to this. Now, if I put it over here, it goes down, goes down. Now, if I put it in one of these slots, obviously it's probably going to go up, right? It goes up to 4,000. All right. The supercharged slots can be part of this, but that's kind of a whole separate thing, right? Obviously, anything you put in the supercharged slot is probably going to beef it up quite a bit. All right. And since I am focused on damage with this weapon, obviously I'm probably going to put these on this side, right? Now, I've got a couple expansion units right here, and not so much that I need too much more space. It's really, I'm hoping when I unlock one or two of these, hopefully, I get another supercharge slot or two, right? Because I don't really need a whole lot of room, right? This staff is mostly for damage, some mining and some scanning, and overall, kind of like my starships, I do like to have a fairly balanced weapon, right? But when it comes to weapons, like this right here, this weapon is completely optimized for mining because this is an Atlantean weapon and it has the runic lens. And I've got that in a supercharged slot. I've got every mining aspect of this in a supercharged slot, right? And this weapon is mostly for mining. Now, if I was out mining and I made a sentinel mad and I had to kill it, yeah, I could kill it. Now, before when I was kind of using this weapon, I kind of had split up. I had two of the slots were for mining and two of the slots were for damage. And I had the damage on this thing up to like 14 to 1500 or 14,000, 15,000. And that's definitely quite fine. But by putting all my mining things in there, not only am I getting, right, a whole lot more resources with that being in a supercharged slot like it is, but it's just sickeningly fast, right? So I don't really use that multi-tool for a lot of stuff nowadays, except if I'm trying to mine some curious deposits, right? So I can burn them down really quick and I get more from them than if I was to use something like this multi-tool right here, which has pretty nice damage, pretty weak scanner, right? But whatever. But at the same time, I could get by with this, right? Even with the mining. So let's go ahead and let me get this other staff jacked up to S-Class and see what I can do with it. All right. So now this bad boy's S-Class, and one of the supercharged slots did actually open up. So I only need to find one more. I have no idea where it's going to be. It would be awesome if it was like one of these, right? Or even this. But I'm thinking it might be maybe right here. So I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to try down here. No, it didn't work. Yeah, let me try right there. I've got two more left. I'm going to fill this area up right here because this is where the majority of them are. Okay. So I opened them all up. This is pretty decent, right? Now, I may only use these three for damage, and then maybe I'll put my scanner or my laser in this fourth one. I'm not sure yet. So hang tight with me as we go ahead and build this staff up. So I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I'm back. So what I would recommend, or let me just say the way I approach this is like with a starship, right, or with a multi-tool. What I would do is, first off, obviously you want to figure out where your priorities are, right? So like when it comes to my starships, hyperdrive is cool, shields are cool, but I really want high maneuverability and I want high damage, right? So and with my multi-tool, like I was saying earlier, I'm not concerned with mining so much or scanner range for this particular multi-tool because I've kind of got that covered with this multi-tool, okay? And I might just show you a little demonstration of this thing. It's pretty nasty as far as the mining capacity goes. Okay, but what I would recommend is if you're going to upgrade a multi-tool that you have or you're getting one, usually sometimes they'll have damaged pieces, you go ahead and repair them. And a lot of times they'll have a lot of these basic modules, right? I would take all the modules out or most of them out, right? I got a couple here, the scanner, the laser, the visor. And I would start with what you want to make the most powerful, right? So for me, it's going to be my damage. So I'm going to start with my main weapon, the pulse splitter. And I already know that, right, all my weapon upgrades or technology is going to go in this area because this is where my supercharge slots are. So I'm going to start with that, right? I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff in that area. And I mean, before I even start putting these things in supercharge slots, I kind of want to get a bit more of these in here, right? Because it's going to take a whole lot of moving things around and stuff like that. And you might as well have a good amount of what you're going to be using in the tool already before you start moving things around, sticking things in supercharge slots, because just moving one thing from one spot to another can change everything. Okay. So it pretty much looks like that is all of my pulse splitter modules for this. Now what I might do is later on, I might grab like this multi-tool, which I like, right? But I may take some of the modules from that and throw them in this new multi-tool. I'm not sure yet. Okay, and I am missing a module or two, actually. So stick around, I'll be right back. All right, everyone, I'm back, and I think I found mostly what I'm looking for. There is one more technology piece, but I'm going to have to install that. So, oh no, never mind, it's right here. All right, so I've got this, and then I think I have one or two more. Yeah, I've got two more. Got that, and one more right here. Okay, technology already installed. So this is what I'm working with my pulse splitter. Now I'm going to put as a secondary weapon, my favorite secondary weapon is absolutely the paralysis mortar, but I'm also going to put a plasma launcher in here. They're fun sometimes, but I haven't used one in quite a while, and I don't know if they're going to show damage potential, right? Like these pulse splitters do. So I'm going to start out with these and see what I can get this damage up to by using 3 of these slots. So I'm just going to do a bunch of moving these things around in a whole bunch of different combinations, which is going to take way too long to film all this. So I'm going to try a few different combinations. I'll check back with you in a moment. Okay, everyone. So this is my first build right here, just with the pulse splitter modules. This was the highest I could get it by not including this slot right here. I'm just trying to limit 3 supercharge slots, and right now I've got my damage up to 13,600. And that is with the main pulse splitter here in a supercharged slot. Also, one of these S-Class and another S-Class. So I'm going to try another combination. I may take the actual pulse splitter out of the slot, really lowers the damage big time, and I may try juggling these around, so stick around, I'll be right back. Okay, I moved a couple pieces around, not much change, but then I came across something pretty cool, and I will show you. So this is what I had right here. Damage 13,641, right? So I started moving these things around, and you can see the numbers going down, not doing nothing. So, and I tried this with a few combinations. So I wound up taking this S class out right here. Okay. And notice nothing changes with the numbers, right? So this particular piece of technology is not messing around with the damage. So I moved that and I put this up there, and look at the number now, 14,796 as opposed to 13,641. And so now, you know, I can pretty much put this one wherever I want it. I'm probably just going to stick it here. Keeps it neat. But if I move any of the other ones, right, then you can see my numbers go down. Now, not every one of these pieces of technology will supercharge, right? Or at least they won't show up. Right now, obviously, this increases the effectiveness as opposed to if it was not in a charge slot, right? You could see them numbers go up pretty significantly. Well, at least the impact fire damage. But yeah. And so this is something like with your exosuit, right? The reason why I say this doesn't apply to the exosuit or the exocraft is because you don't really have, you can't gauge it. You can't tell if there's a difference. You know, with the exosuit, basically the way I approach it, I still do the adjacency thing. But the things that matter to me as far as when it comes to my exosuit is mostly like my movement modules, right? So for me, like having really supercharged jetpack tanks is really important. And sprint distance, not so much, really jetpack tanks. And if I get jetpack, I guess like a recharge rate. So let me see, where's another one? Jetpack tanks, that's pretty weak right there. But yeah, and a lot of times I will supercharge these Sentinel things. And what you'll notice with the multi-tool, like when I put Sentinel pieces in here, it's probably not going to visibly show on the numbers that it's doing anything, right? So like I put that down, it doesn't do nothing, right? No matter where I put it. Even if I put it in there. But obviously, if you look at the numbers on this thing, like 1 damage, 4 fire rate, 2 reload time. If I put that thing in there, then you can see obviously the numbers get jacked up quite a bit, but they don't show up on your damage potential. So that's something maybe to keep in mind. And I'm probably not even going to use this particular one. This is all for sale down here. So yeah, I think I've got a pretty good sort of starter or outline to where I'm going with this. I'm going to start filling this thing in, so stick around. What I did was I took a couple modules from one of my other multi-tools, two pulse splitter modules or technology pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and add those to this right now. And I'm not worried about the fact that they're overcharging everything, right? The reason I'm doing this is because I want to do a comparison here. So the 2 new ones are on the bottom, and these are the 2 I had in there. So I'm looking at damage, clip size, fire rate, reload time, right? So both of these have 11 fire rate. They both have 12 clip size. They both have 2 damage, and they both have 6 reload time. Okay. For the most part, they're identical. These 2 new ones I got from my other multi-tool, they're fairly the same, except the reload time is a little better. And the fire rate on this one's really nice, right? 14 as opposed to 11. This one is 11 fire rate. And this one also has the same reload time as these, right? So I'm going to take this more powerful one and I'm going to throw it up in one of these slots. Now, of course, that's not doing nothing for my numbers because we're in an overcharged state, but I'm going to disable I guess it really doesn't matter, right? These are all pretty much the same. So I'll disable this one. And I'll disable one of these, right? Yeah. So I'll disable this. And let me see where I can get these numbers now. So this is the better option. So yeah, it takes us from 14, I don't know, what was it, 14,796 to 15,328. So, you know, it seems at this point, and, you know, it's interesting because putting this piece right here, which right here is the best option so far, putting this in a supercharge slot actually weakens my damage. So I'm obviously going to keep that right there. Next, I'm going to add in my plasma launcher. Now, my plasma launcher, it's a secondary weapon. I don't think it's going to affect any of the damage, really. Again, that's not to say, you know, obviously, if I put this thing in a supercharged slot, it absolutely will affect the damage of my plasma launcher. So I will be right back with you. And as you can see, I've got all my pulse splitter, or not pulse splitter, I've got all my plasma launcher upgrades in. And yeah, they're overcharging everything, but I want to be able to compare these to one another, right? So starting with the damage 70, 70, 70, 76. Okay, so this kind of stands out a little bit. Let me see, bounce potential 100, 100. This doesn't even have one, and this don't have one. Okay. So I guess the next thing I'm going to look at, projectile or explosion radius, that's AoE. They're both 11. And projectile velocity 203, 231, 237, 210. So obviously these are my strongest ones right here. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these, at least for now. And I've got my strongest plasma launcher pieces. And as you can see, yeah, the plasma launcher's not doing anything to the damage potential. So I may wind up putting one of these in there. I may wind up putting one of my sort of Sentinel upgrade or technologies in there. Not sure yet, but I do kind of want to mess around a little bit. And I think I might go into one of my other multi-tools and grab a better piece than this, right? Now, these are pretty good. 19 fire rate, 2 damage, 19 fire rate, 2 damage, right? This one's a little lackluster, so I'm gonna take this out, and I'm gonna look in one of my other multi-tools that I don't really use too much, and I'm gonna grab one of them. So I'll be right back. All right, everyone, I'm back, and I did find this right here was in my mining multi-tool. Right now, my mining multi-tool is not focused on damage, mostly for mining. But as you can see, this is much better than what I had. Actually, I would say this is much better than It's pretty much equal to this. So I'm thinking of probably putting one of these in Supercharge slot. Not exactly sure which one yet, so stick around. All right, everyone. So I'm thinking, I was thinking this is pretty much where I'm at, 15,000 damage, right? And I chose to put this Sentinel technology in here because, as you can see, doesn't do nothing to the damage, but if you look at the fire rate and reload time, when I put this thing in there, it really, right, pretty much doubles it. But then I forgot, and none of these secondary weapons, plasma launcher or the paralysis mortar, they don't do nothing when you put them in the supercharged slot. At least, like I said, damage potential. Yes, it'll make that weapon itself more powerful, but this is going to make pretty much all my weapons more powerful. But then I thought, well, I'm missing something here, and that is the voltaic amplifier. So I'm going to go ahead, install this. Now this may increase the damage if I stick it in that supercharge slot. So let me try that. So I've got 15,328. And no, it doesn't. Okay. But it does give me more damage to stun targets. So, like I was saying earlier, I love using the paralysis mortar, and that stuns the targets. So, if I wanted to, I could put that in there, and that would absolutely do more damage, plus 50 as opposed to plus 21. But I think I'd rather just have the solid, faster fire rate, quicker reload time. Unfortunately, this is the numbers I end up with on the damage side, 15,328. That's not bad. But when I compare it to this multi-tool, right, we're talking like 400 points difference. So now I have 4 S-class modules in this multi-tool, which, let me see something, because I may still have potential to make this thing even more powerful. But I think this only has 3. No, this 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so actually this right here, if I can get another S-class module possibly to make this stronger. Let me test this out. I'll be right back with you. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and I took that A-class piece out of this weapon, and I grabbed an S-class out of one of my other multi-tools, and now these are numbers that I'm quite a bit more happy with, right? So I've got 18,877, close enough to 19,000. So definitely pleased with that. And so next I'm going to start filling in probably the scanner, because that's going to be able to see differences there. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back. And as you can see, I am like totally overcharged with these scanners here. So I guess what I prioritize when it comes to these scanners has to do with the scan radius, right? I can measure that right here. A lot of these have just the rewards for each 3 types: minerals, fauna, flora, right? Now, the ones that have scan radius attached to them generally have, as you can see here, scan radius 31. They generally have a couple rewards, right? This one is missing the plant type rewards, right? So I'm always going to choose those over the things that just have the rewards for all three, but no scan radius. So I'm going to remove this one. And again, this is a preference thing. For you, it may be important to be able to make more units when you scan stuff as opposed to having a bigger scan range, right? But for me, I'm going to focus mostly on the things that give me scan range. Okay, so this gives me a really nice scan range. And so at this point, I can have, now this has a scan radius right here, so I may keep this A class over two of these S classes, right? So I'm just going to determine which has the bigger rewards out of these four. So minerals 8,000, 7,000, 6,000, 6,000, right? That's for minerals. For fauna, 7,000, 7,000, 6,000, 8,000. And then for flora, 7, 9, and 9, 7. So that's a tough one, right? I think I'm going to put this away. I'm going to get rid of this one. Right? And now it's just out of these three. And so I'm seeing 7 for minerals, 8 for minerals. I'm seeing 9 for flora. I'm seeing 7 for flora. Right? Mineral flora 9, mineral 6. Right? Minerals 8, flora 7. So these two have bigger overall numbers compared to this. This has a pretty weak mineral and a pretty weak fauna. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one too. All right, now we still, apparently I'm going to have to get rid of, my scan range is really bad, but that's because these are showing up as overcharged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of both of these temporarily. I'm going to put them off to the side here so I know where they are. And I'm going to see what I end up with scan radius after I organize the adjacency of these, right? Figure out exactly where I want to put them. Do I want to put them next to the weapon? Do I want to put these all the way on this side and fill this stuff up with, like the meaningless stuff like the terrain manipulator and all? So stick with me and I'll be right back. Okay, so for scanner range, this is really the best I could do, right? And I tried putting them over here. I tried putting them long. Now, I can actually set these up long ways to where I can get that 1170 number. So really, it's different ones though. Let me see. Well, anyway, I got these pretty much the best of what I can get them, 1170. So I'm going to be happy with that. So I'm going to move on to my mining beams. So stick with me. Okay, I'm back, everyone. And I was able to move these over. I kept them pretty much in the same order, but I moved them over to the middle, and it did not affect my numbers. Obviously, with the mining beams, there are no adjacency bonuses that I'm aware of, right? There's nothing to look at. So really the rest of this is just filling in these empty areas. So I need to find my survey device, which is somewhere here. Already got that. So let me see. Analysis visor package, survey device. Okay. Now it's just a sort of matter of filling in a lot of these empty spaces. I really didn't need. I had to spend those expansion slots just to open up the extra supercharge slot, but I certainly didn't need all these spots. But I do have a couple things to throw in here. Obviously, like the terrain manipulator, very necessary. The polyphonic core, yeah, right there. I don't use combat scope. Let's see. Got the analysis visor. Um, Gravitino coil. I also put a cloaked device in here, and I don't use a combat. I used to use a combat scope. They can be pretty good on derelict freighters for kind of improving your targeting for the little bug aliens or whatever. But for me, I found that the paralysis mortar just pretty much obliterates them. It locks them in place, and then you just mow them down. And I don't like a whole lot of secondary weapons because I don't want to be doing a bunch of button press and trying to change weapons real quick, right? So, um, I generally don't use a plasma launcher, right? But it's nice to have a little extra flavor, you know. So I don't think I have one of these made, so I'll go ahead and throw one of these in. But blaze javelin, scatter blaster, neutron cannon. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm not putting a fishing rig on this because that's just another amount of button pushing to, right. You gotta go through something, and I don't want to deal with that when I'm fighting something. So really, just looks like this is sort of the last thing, and I'll go ahead and I should be able to install that right now. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I'm left with. So, um, but really, it's the numbers that matter. It's not so much. But yes, that's pretty much the idea behind adjacency bonuses. Really, you're just moving things around. You're trying to keep things close to each other, and you're moving things around and keeping an eye on your damage, right? Or your range, your scanner range, or in the case of in the case of your starship, maybe you're looking at your shield. Well, I hate when it does that when you lose the two other stats. But in the case of the damage, you might want to move each one of these around, and there's so many different combinations. I mean, it's possible that if I removed everything from here like I had on the multi-tool and started all over, maybe I put these maneuverability things over here and put the weapons over here, and I might actually get a little bit better numbers. Um, so I think the best way to start is to start off with the thing empty and focus on your most important stat and just start there and then just move each one around. And then when you add more, you got to kind of go through the process again. There's so many options. But just find a number you're happy with and go from there. And that's pretty much, I guess, a beginner's guide to adjacency bonuses, right? Just moving things around until you get, the really good numbers you want. And so, yeah, I'm happy with 1388 scanner range, and I'm happy with 18, or I would say 19,000 damage, pretty much. I'm definitely pretty happy with that. So, that is about it. So thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully, if you're fairly new to the game and weren't aware of adjacency bonuses, hopefully this can help you out. Remember, this is mostly only applicable, right, to your freighters, your starships, and your multi-tools. And the reason for that is because you have your stats here you can follow, right? Got them on your freighter, you got them on your starship, and you got them on your multi-tool. However, you do not have them on your exosuit, and right now I'm not at one of my home bases. I'm on my freighter, so I can't pull up my exocraft. But just like your exosuit, your exocraft don't have those numbers either. However, like in your suit, as you can see, I've got one of these modules in a supercharge slot, right? So this is, and like I said, I'm mostly focused on jetpack tanks, right? So if you look at the jetpack tanks, I got 237. When I put that in the supercharge slot, it turns to 297. So supercharge slots work in anything, right? Exocraft, multi-tool, starship, you name it. So yeah, they're going to work in anything. They're just going to supercharge anything. Um, but as far as like, moving things close to each other, keeping things paired up together, like you see I've got here, doesn't really apply so much to the exosuit. Really, the exosuit is just, find what matters the most to you and put those things in the supercharged slots. So yeah, that's it. Again, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace out.